Hello everyone. So, we will continue with wear trial technique. So, in last class we have discussed that wear trial technique is extremely important in clothing comfort related research, okay, and where the actual wear situation is important to evaluate the comfort sensation. Also we have mentioned that wear trial technique basically depends on the fabric related properties, that is type of fiber, type of yarn, type of fabric structure and type of garment like fit related characteristics. Then environment related characteristics like temperature, humidity and wind velocity, and also the activity level. So, all these things we can only get if we perform wear trial technique. Individually measuring a particular value, say thermal transmission and moisture transmission or whatever may be, or handle related characteristics will not give us the overall sensation of clothing after wear. So, we have to get information from the respondent after wearing the cloth and at different level of activity and at different climatic condition. Okay. So, necessity is that we have discussed that this is very important to get actual data from the respondent to generate reactions of wearer to any perceived discomfort sensation produced by different climatic condition, different activity level. Okay. So, these are the different external stimuli, that is that particular wear sensation we can generate for a particular type of external stimuli and physical activity. The external stimuli is the heat, moisture and wind velocity, and mechanical stimuli is softness, scratchiness, prickiness. Okay. These are all different types of harsh or maybe rigid, this type of mechanical stimuli we can get. These stimulations are normally generated under specific wear condition or specific physiological state or specific environmental condition, okay, like sweating rate, physical activities, material used in clothing, okay, fitness of clothing, temperature, humidity and air velocity of the environment. All these things controls the actually response from the wearer. So, the steps are, first step is to generate the sensory attributes with wearer. First, wearer has to be defined what type of sensory attributes we are looking at. Like for extreme cold climate clothing we are trying to develop, we may not require whether it is a soft or hard or something. So, for a particular requirement we have to define the sensory attributes. What are the sensory attributes we are looking at? We are suppose extreme cold climate clothing, we are looking at the whether it will give you warmth or not. So, according to the requirement we have to define, that is the first step. Second step is that selection of a particular test condition. Like if we want to develop clothing for extreme cold climate, we will not definitely select a temperature of environment of a normal room temperature. We have to select that particular, suppose our target is minus 40 degree Celsius. So, our target should be that we have to test the perform this wear trial at that test condition, at that room temperature minus 40 degree Celsius. Then next step is that psychological scale, some different types of rating scale. We have to design particular rating scale, okay, that we have discussed earlier, what type of sensory attributes we want to evaluate, and we have to design, we have to select a particular rating scale, okay. Like this, we are whether do we want to evaluate stiffness, stickiness, non-absorbent, cold, damp, clammy, or this all the rough, scratchy. So, at different time interval. So, we have to actually design this test process at different time interval in a particular environmental condition. That questionnaire we have to give, and we have to define the total procedure. Okay. Next is the wear trial can be conducted in controlled environmental condition. So, particular environmental condition we have to generate, and that at that condition we have to perform this test. Each comfort attribute can be separately rated at different time interval. This is very important. We cannot have overall comfort sensation perception at a particular time. It changes, it is not constant. So, that during our design of the experiment we have to design, okay, we have to take the response at the beginning, at after interval of the particular time, and at the end of the this experiment, that we have to, a particular fabric, a particular clothing may be very comfortable at the beginning, but at the end that may fail. So, that is why we have to design the time. These are the steps of wear trial, and then next is that you have to collect the data, all the collected data, then we have to analyze. So, with the statistical technique we have to analyze, then we can tell, okay, this we have performed the total wear trial technique. So, what are the steps? Let us see once again. First you have to generate the attributes of the wear, which attributes we want to test, then is the select the particular test condition. Okay. Test condition means we have to select total, not only the environmental condition, but we have to set, okay, you have to train the wearer, you have to respond at the beginning, at a certain, after certain time, and all this. So, these are the steps we have, and then we will discuss a couple of examples, okay, which is published one. This is the, in this study warm and humid climatic conditions were produced using climatic chamber with a precise control of air temperature and humidity. So, this is a garment which will be used for warm and humidity. It is a workwear type garment is being developed, and we have to test. So, this that exact humidity and temperature of the climate we have to generate. Okay. So, different varieties of garments, that workwear garment has been taken, 30 different varieties of garments were taken with 6 coverall type. So, the 6 different types of coveralls were used. So, here the variability is, it is a 30 multiplied by 6. So, 180 different types of combinations are generated. Okay. Then each test sessions were, and each test session was made up of 5 individual evaluation period. So, at different evaluation period, it has 5 different evaluation, the data responses were taken. So, that means 180 different types of clothing combination and 5 different types of, at different time interval we have got the response. So, total data, number of data will be multiplied by 5, it will be 900 different types of individual evaluations we will be getting. So, this large number of data. So, which one is constant here? Constant is the environment. For a particular environment, it is say, if we want to vary the environment, then the number of data will be huge. So, normally in wear trial we do not change the climatic condition, because the particular garment is targeted for a particular environmental condition, that is why it is not varied. Okay. So, here 900 different data and comfort ratings were assessed in this type of rating scale. It is overall comfort is that means in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, say 10 or whatever scales are given. Another attribute was the thermal sensation. One is overall comfort, another is the thermal sensation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scale, and contact comfort, that it is at different types of contact tactile sensation. Okay. So, these 3 different types of attributes were sensations were taken. So, the overall comfort sensations were expressed in terms of 7 different types of level. So, 1 being the very uncomfortable, 2 uncomfortable, 3 slightly uncomfortable, 4 it is a neutral one, 5 slightly uncomfortable, slightly comfortable, and 7 is very comfortable. So, this is extremely important to train the wearer. Wearer he does not know, so he has to be actually trained which one is very comfortable, which one is very uncomfortable. So, this data has to be there with him, then only he can rate that one. Okay. The wearer and the garments were precisely weighed before and after the completion of the protocol. The total protocol you are completing, then before start of the wear trial technique, the wearer has to be weighed. So, you take the weight of the wearer, then take the weight of the garment, complete garment, before and after. Why do we need that one? Because to estimate the moisture loss from the body, how much moisture is lost from the body, that physiological activity we would like to know, because that will help in assessing the human physiological activity for a particular garment with that particular environmental condition. If he starts giving the higher moisture loss, that may not be actually good. Okay. So, that way, and it has correlated with this moisture loss with the overall thermal comfort perception. Okay. And also to determine the amount of moisture accumulated in the test garment. So, before test and after test, what we have taken, it is that the loss of moisture by the body, by the person, may not be equal to the gain of the by the garment. That means that this loss, this difference is the actual evaporation. That also, that we will get this data. This will give the overall actually whether this garment will be suitable or not, irrespective of the whether it is a comfort or not. So, that this is one scale is its a psychological scale, it is comfortable or not. In addition to that, it is checked that whether this it is a physiologically he is perfect or not. Okay. And also it gives an idea about that the type of moisture released by the garment. Okay. This is the experimental design, and then statistical technique has been adopted to analyze this thing. So, we can get overall, so just by simple designing of wear trial, we can get total behavior of clothing. Okay. Next is that the next example, it says the wear trial technique, where it is a sportswear, a particular sportswear has been developed. So, 22 professional athletes were selected. Okay. They have been selected as a subject who has taken part in the psychological sensory cycling trial. Okay. In an environmental condition, controlled condition of the laboratory. Okay. So, that controlled condition is created in the laboratory to simulate the actual environmental condition when he will use the cycling. It is a different commercial sportswear were selected. Now, different commercial sportswear were collected, okay, and which one is will give you the best result, that this study will tell. Okay. So, pre-trial had been conducted to obtain training and understanding of the questions and procedures involved. So, this is very important. This professional athletes they may not know the actual condition, what actually do we want. So, we have to do several pre-trial at different level, and then we have to actually train them about the procedure or about the question, okay, how to actually respond. During each trial, each athlete was required to shower. So, they have to actually it is to keep the condition uniform, there it is a stringent requirement is there. They have to take bath, okay, upon arriving the laboratory, then change into a test garment. So, they will change the test to test garment, and pair of nylon shoes, nylon shorts they will wear, and then rest with the equilibrium condition for 20 minutes. For 20 minutes they will take rest. So, this is actually this protocol is fixed for all the athletes. Okay. Now, the laboratory condition is fixed, where it is a 15 degree Celsius, 65% relative humidity and an air velocity of 0.15 to 1.5 meter per second. So, it is created. Okay. Then at the end of the equilibrium period, that is that after 20 minutes, okay, the athletes were asked to ride the bicycle, okay, the ergonomic bike for 90 minutes under the workload to maintain their heartbeat at 70% of the estimated maximum. So, that the speed for different athlete, the speed will be different. Okay. Now, that speed we cannot it is a subjective, okay, it is for different. So, to keep the physiological condition constant, so heart rate is taken here. So, maximum heart rate is known for a particular person, if it is known. So, 70% of that heart rate is kept. Okay. So, if it is more, then their activity has to be reduced, like that. Okay. The athletes were asked to rate the sensory perception. So, what are the perception he is feeling? Okay. It is a clammy, clingy, sticky, damp, heavy. So, all these different types of sensory attributes were presented, and asked he was asked to evaluate or rate this value, okay, at different time interval. Here time intervals were taken at the beginning time interval, then after 30 minutes, after 60 minutes and after 90 minutes. So, at these different types of different time interval, he was asked to rate with all this perception, sensory perception. Okay. The rating is actually it is a 100 scale. So, it is a by the subsequently converted to the it is whatever rating is given, it is converted to 0 to 100 scale for all the sensory perception except feet and thermal sensation. So, feet and thermal sensation what they have taken, it is a minus 50 to plus 50. So, it is extremely loose or extremely tight, or extremely hot or extremely cold. So, rest other attributes like this, all these attributes they have taken into 100 scale, but feet and thermal sensation. So, from too loose to too feet, too tight, and from too cold to too hot. So, this way it has been rated, and Then they have done the statistical analysis and results were reported. Okay. So, we can design our wear trial technique according to our own applications, okay, own use. So, another wear trial technique that we have performed, this is psychological response of clothing by wear trial technique under cold weather condition. So, here we have developed 4 different types of clothing jackets. Okay. This is done in our lab. So, 4 different types of jackets have been developed, and so the jacket 1, but the difference is only that inner layer and outer layer they are fixed, only difference is that the middle layer. So, middle layer is made of say 1.5 denier needle punched nonwoven fabric. Okay. Jacket weight we have tried to keep around say 800 gram. Okay. Okay. And jacket 2 is through air bonded nonwoven. This through air bonded nonwoven actually ultimately we will see this is this gives very high thermal insulation, but due to very higher thickness it fails. We will see that that jacket 2 fails in giving warmth. So, why? Because it is due to its higher thickness, the moisture vapor transmission is not proper. So, that gives a poor result. That means which shows here the needle felt or say hollow needle felt fabric, needle punched fabric with 115 denier fabric, although it gives lower thermal insulation than the jacket than the through air bonded fabric. If when we tested objective testing, when we tested by the thermal insulation, it gives jacket the 2 gives the best result as far as thermal insulation is concerned, but in wear trial technique this fails, because there the other environmental and physiological condition comes into picture. So, that is the importance of the wear trial technique. Here through wear trial technique we could say that this fabric jacket 2 is not suitable for extreme cold climate clothing. Okay. That we will see, and here we have tested performed the test in 3 different environmental temperature, 10 degree Celsius, 0 degree Celsius and minus 10 degree Celsius. 3 different temperature we have performed, and total clothing weight it is for 10 degree Celsius, it is although the jacket weight is same almost, but total clothing weight is different as per the standard norms. We have used different, in addition to the jacket we have used undershirt, underpant. So, different types of other accessories we have to use. Okay. And the parameters what we have measured is the body mass, weight of all the clothing before and after test, and skin temperature and relative humidity at different parts of the body. So, that we have designed as per the standard protocol, and relative humidity and air velocity of the chamber was kept constant around 50% and 0.5 meter per second, that is the relative humidity, and temperature we have changed. Okay. And the total test protocol is that its total time was kept 80 minutes. Okay. And initially 10 minute was rest inside the chamber, then 20 minute walk at 1.5 kilometer per hour speed, then again 15 minutes rest, then 20 minute walk at 3 kilometer per hour speed, then at last 15 minute rest. So, total it comes out to be 80 minutes test protocol, and during that time along with the other parameters we have rated the garment. Rated the garment, it is in types of comfort rating and in terms of the warmth rating. In warmth rating we have taken 9 point scale. 9 point scale, it is a hot it is a positive, it is a from +4 to +1, +4 denotes the very hot, 3 hot, warm and slightly warm, and 0 rating is the neutral, and similarly for cold it is slightly cold to very freezing. So, these are the cold related, hot or cold related, temperature related or feeling, and for comfort related we have used 5-point scale. It is from starting from 0, which is extremely comfortable, and 4 means extremely uncomfortable. We have used the standard ISO 10551 2001. This with this protocol we have performed the test. So, this is the climatic chamber, and these are the sensors which sense the skin temperature and skin humidity at different parts of body, and after wearing cloth within this is the after jacket. And what we have observed? We have observed here, just see at 10 degree Celsius temperature, jacket 2 consisting of through air bonded nanoven gives uncomfortable feeling. It's a because see, you just see temperature is for jacket 2, it's a this is the it's a little bit cooler, because it gives little bit cold. So, but our skin temperature should be around 34 degrees Celsius or 35 degrees Celsius. Okay. So, the 34 or 35, 36 degree, but it is giving little bit uncomfortably cold. So, because why? So, there is a needle field I have discussed. See, if we see the temperature all at different say arm region, vertebral region, chest region. So, at different zone we have seen that this gives the lowest temperature. So, why? If we see the humidity sensor gives shows that it gives the very high humidity at that for jacket 2. That means, at 10 degree Celsius temperature, whatever your humidity, that sweat we are actually body is releasing, that the particular jacket is not able to actually transmit because of its thickness. Okay. And see, this is a different abdomen region, we can just see this high humidity, high sweat rate. Okay. Now, coming to the at 10 degrees 0 degree Celsius temperature, the jacket 3 and 4 consisting of hollow fiber. Okay. Hollow fiber gives warmth. Okay. See, the temperature is it's a little bit high. So, that this gives at 0 degree Celsius, it gives warmth because of the presence of hollow fiber. Okay. Even this is true for other region, at different region you will see at. So, this fabric gives the, and this trend, this is we have to see the overall trend at different body part, it is not consistent. So, depending on the physiological condition, the sweating pattern is different, but we try to study the overall sensation. Okay. Now, just see that at 0 degree Celsius, jacket 2 and jacket 4 shows higher skin moisture. Okay. That means, it is not able to transmit the moisture. Okay. At so abdomen region, the relative humidity of the moisture the skin is very high. Okay. So, that now coming to the sub-zero temperature. At sub-zero temperature, if we see carefully, jacket 2 gives lesser skin temperature. This is actually jacket, this scapular region it is confusing, but if you see other chest region it gives the lower skin temperature. So, chest chamber area is the area we will discuss in the next session in neurophysiology, that the cold sensation in chest is very sensitive, where if we get the lower temperature, our sensation will be very high, okay? Cold sensation will be very high. So, at jacket 2, if you see, it is a green one which gives the temperature from 35, it drops to say 31. So, with the time, with the activity, what does it show? X axis, it is a time of activity. So, initially the temperature was at that minus 10 degree Celsius, the temperature of the skin was okay 35, it is comfortable, but during activity, as we start sweating during walking, and that as per the protocol, or that this jacket fails to actually transmit moisture from body to skin to outside. That is why it fails at the temperature reduces, because the humidity increases at that zone. Okay. So, that is why here you will start feeling uncomfortable, cold, uncomfortable, because the skin temperature has become around say 30-31 degree Celsius. Okay. But this, you see that the fabric with hollow fiber, so 4, which gives the better temperature, which is comfortable temperature. Okay. So, let us see in other zone also, the temperature, it gives the lower temperature, it is around. So, this is giving a cooler effect at extreme cold. So, this actually fails at that temperature, even in the arm region. Another thing, that as this we have not shown here the psychological rating. Okay. The rating scale we have compared with this rating scale at different time, we have compared, we have got very good correlation with that this temperature and humidity. Okay. So, at this temperature, say at this say after say at 50 or after 60 minute time, this fabric whatever responses we have got from this jacket 2, which gives the uncomfortably cold sensation. So, that is actually we have got proper correlation of this. Okay. Like if we see the humidity, now humidity will give you the proper picture. So, if we see the humidity, this is the temperature. Okay. Now, if we see the humidity we have taken in one scapula zone only. Okay. If you see, it is clear the humidity of environment of the skin humidity, which is it is very high, it is almost it is a we have seen that in that microclimate zone, the comfortable humidity should be around 32, 33, okay, 34. Okay. But here if we see that humidity is around more than that. Okay. So, around 40, 35, above 35. So, which is actually which does not give the comfort rating. Okay. So, and this is total, it is actually correlated with the psychological rating. Now, see the conclusion. So, jacket, as we have discussed that jackets consisting of finer fiber, that is 1, and hollow fiber 3 and 4 were performed well at higher ambient temperature, but as the ambient temperature decreases, the jacket consisting of finer fiber failed to perform because of less porosity and air volume, which significantly contributes the thermal insulation. Now, we will discuss the aesthetic comfort. Okay. So, aesthetic comfort is completely related to the psychological perception of human body. This is there is a complex interplay between clothing aesthetics and body attributes. So, it depends on the body attributes, how the clothing will look like. Okay. Human body imaging is a technique which can be adopted to study the clothing aesthetics, because body imaging will give us the complete picture, 3-dimensional body imaging will give us the complete picture of the shape of the body, and basically the wearer through the clothing would always like to get the aesthetic pleasure, okay? And by emphasizing some positive attributes of the body, positive features of the body, and hiding some negative feature. One simple example, it is a very well known example, like if we select our checks or stripes, we can get actually some aesthetically some illusion effect of our human body. Suppose a person who is actually short in height, if he wears a vertical stripe, it will automatically give a taller in look. So, that way even by designing by different a fat person or a lean person can design their clothing accordingly. Like I am not suppose a lean person can design a clothing with a loose fit clothing. So, it will give him some bulky nature. So, that similarly person depending on a body feature, by designing the clothing one can actually hide its some negative feature and give some aesthetic pleasure, aesthetic comfort. So, aesthetic comfort is actually totally psychological in nature. It is very difficult to measure, okay, at least objectively, and due to its subjectivity it is very difficult to measure. So, the clothing components of clothing aesthetics are basically there are 4 different components we can measure the aesthetic. We have to ultimately measure the aesthetic. It's a first is that it's a simplified polar scale, whether it's a beautiful or ugly, whether it's a good or bad, it's a that's the aesthetic pleasure, okay, aesthetic concept of clothing, it's a good. So, that's a some polar attributes we can give. Then by subjective measurement, okay, it's a soft or hard. So, that this type of some by expressing by word, by a subjective evaluation we can measure the aesthetics, okay. Like a drape, it's a beautiful, okay, but you can measure the drape by flexible or rigid, like that. Psychological sensation, it's a visually it's a pleasing. So, that is a psychological sensation, and fourth one is the it's a objective measurement. So, we have to see that can we measure this psychological aesthetic aspects by objective measurement, okay. This objective evaluation of the aesthetics is very important to quantify, okay. So, we will stop here. So, we will continue in the next class, okay. Thank you.